a bladeless knife with no handle. The more we try to imagine it and to define it, the more elusive it becomes. It just slips from your mind. We can't quite grab it. Hello, dear soul friends. Welcome back to this sacred space. In today's world filled with trends, aesthetics, and checklists, it's so easy to lose touch with what the heart of spirituality really is. For so long, I feel as if I was chasing this perfect version of spirituality and constantly questioning whether I was doing it right. In trying to fit into that mold, I found myself drifting further and further away from my own truth. There came a point where I had to strip everything down to the bare bones and ask myself, what does spirituality mean to me? Not to anyone else, not what's online, but to me. I found that when I let go of the need to be everything other than my own authentic expression, that's when the real connection began. And honestly, it's been messy and imperfect, but it's also been the most liberating experience. As someone who shares their journey online, I am deeply aware that I may be influencing others too. And the last thing I want is for you to feel like you have to follow someone else's path in order to connect with your spirituality. So today, I'm inviting you to join me in stripping away all the illusions, all the expectations, and this pressure to get it right. My hope is that through our conversation, we can guide you back to what spirituality feels like for you, raw, honest, and uniquely aligned with your soul, because your journey is your own, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. I grew up balancing two worlds, spirituality and religion. As a child, my grandfather taught me indigenous wisdom and how to connect with the earth and the spirit that flows through all things. But after he passed, my family shifted towards Christianity, and it wasn't necessarily strict, but kind of just a routine that we settled into. And I found myself immersed in church and studying the Bible. For a long time, I had accepted the teachings of the church without question, but then one day it hit me that I had never chosen this path for myself. I was kind of just placed in this religious framework without really opting into it. Unfortunately, they don't ask children whether they'd like to be a part of a religion. You just kind of end up there. But it was a sobering realization, and I began to really step back and ask myself, what do I truly believe? And this question was like entering uncharted territory. It was terrifying, to be honest, leaving behind everything that I had ever been taught. But I had my grandfather's wisdom to guide me and the wisdom of my ancestors within me. And so I felt confident kind of stepping out of this framework and exploring for my own soul. And from that point on, I began this process of unlearning and relearning, but this time on my own terms. Like so many of us, I turned to external resources like books, podcasts, and even YouTube as a way to freely explore new ideas and connect with others who are on their spiritual journey as well. I find that this kind of exploration can be incredibly helpful, and I really truly honor the individuals who have opened doors for my soul to find its own way. But as I ventured deeper into the digital world, I started to notice something a bit unsettling, an emerging pattern, a rigid mold. There were specific aesthetics, unspoken rules, and expectations of how one should behave, think, or act in order to fit in with the spiritual community. For a while, this made me even question myself, wondering if I was somehow doing spirituality wrong or if I wasn't spiritual enough. It was like the more I leaned into these external portrayals, the further I felt from the connection I was seeking. And then it hit me that to be anchored in my spirituality is not limited to tools or outward expressions. It's about coming home to myself and learning to listen deeply and to be with my soul. And I can't do that if I'm mimicking everyone else's. The tools and rituals that we use are guides to help us return to our center, but they are not substitutes for the inner connection that we seek. Think of it like gardening. You can buy all of the fancy tools and seeds, but if you don't sit with the soil, if you don't tend to it with care, and if you don't nurture it from your heart, nothing will grow. Maybe you felt this way too, doing all of the things that you thought you needed to do to be spiritual and then still feeling disconnected. It really wasn't until I put everything down, literally, and sat with myself that I realized that I already had what I was looking for. It was like I had been filling my closet with new clothes, searching for the perfect outfit, and I already had it on. Back then, I was using the aesthetics of spirituality to help me grow closer to Source, but what I really needed was a deeper, more authentic connection with my own soul. Your spirituality isn't about ticking boxes or fitting into someone else's mold. You don't have to carry tarot cards everywhere or wear specific clothing or adopt a specific lifestyle to connect with the divine. To be human, it means to be multidimensional. So all parts of you, messy, imperfect, real, should and can coexist with your spirituality. Personally, I love my daily rituals just as much as I love a good dose of Rick and Morty on Friday nights. I wear sweatpants every day, and other days my clothing seems to blend in with the earth. I was very passionate about the Drake and Kendrick rap battle. Kendrick's one of my favorite artists. But at the same time, I was saying I wish we could all just get along and love each other. I say all that to say that I am not this high, holy being who is disconnected from the world, yet I am very deeply rooted and connected to my spirituality. And if that sounds confusing, good. We are multidimensional beings. Not every part of you is supposed to perfectly align into just one solid aesthetic. The practices that bring you joy and peace and healing don't have to fit someone else's mold in order to validate your spiritual connection. It's really not about how it appears externally, it's about how it feels within you. I've come to understand that the wisdom I was desperately seeking resides in the quiet spaces between me and the divine. I've called the divine so many names over the years and even on a day-to-day basis, from God to universe, spirit, source. But to try to define and label such infinite energy always feels so limiting. It brings these two quotes to mind. One by Kafka, where he said, "I am constantly trying to communicate something incommunicable, to explain something inexplicable, to tell about something I only feel in my bones." And Hafez beautifully said, "Start seeing everything as God, but keep it a secret." These words resonate with me so deeply because I feel as if spirituality is almost beyond words, beyond the confines of language. It's like Akbar's image of a bladeless knife with no handle. A bladeless knife with no handle. The more we try to imagine it and to define it, the more elusive it becomes. It just slips from your mind. We can't quite grab it. That is how this infinite energy feels for me. For the longest time, I was seeking this solid definition of my beliefs so that I could articulate it sound enough and clear enough. But maybe spirituality isn't about finding the right words. Maybe it's about surrendering to the indescribable. Perhaps it's not about pinning down a single definition, but rather a journey of embodying the infinite love that we feel but cannot name. Trusting in the deep knowing within us, a process of becoming and connecting to Source in our own way, on our own time. As Ram Dass said, we spend so much time thinking about life rather than being life. Maybe spirituality and this walk that we're on is less about intellectualizing it and more about embodying it and just being and allowing it to naturally unfold. I've come to learn that your relationship with the divine is uniquely yours. You don't have to perform. You don't need external validation. It's not rooted in external evidence. It's in the whispers of your own intuition and what feels true and right to you. While it's wonderful to be open to the teachings and the wisdom from enlightened beings, it's also important to be able to discern what feels nourishing for your spirit and letting go of what doesn't. I find that the best teachers will lead you inwards towards your soul and towards your own journey rather than giving you a strict rule book on how to get there. There is no wrong or right path, no standard of success to measure. Your spirituality isn't a subject for debate or a spectacle to be analyzed by others. It's a deeply personal experience thriving in the loving spaces between you and the divine. And in that sacred space, there is no pressure to prove anything. Your spiritual expression in its most authentic form is more than enough. I think the diversity of belief is so beautiful, and I wish that it didn't divide us, but we rather unified in the fact that we believe that we are connected to something, a love that goes beyond a label and an explanation. It's a love that binds us all. I believe that we are all a part of this unifying energy, and that rather than being separate from us, it is within us and among us and between us. I can feel it in the mountains. I hear it in the hum of the forest. I see it in you. It's the same divine spark that flows within me, that flows within you too. There are moments where our words fall short, yet that palpable existential love still remains, like an invisible thread that connects us all. We don't have to search far and wide to find it. It is right here, within and among each of us. What I wish I had known from the start is that there is no single right way to experience spirituality. Sometimes my spiritual practice is rooted in ritual, and other times it looks like sinking into my couch. Being human allows for both of these experiences. For me, now my spirituality feels like this loving, gentle, guiding presence rather than this long list of things to check off. My hope is that you find the same sense of freedom and ease as you explore what your spirituality means to you. What if you took a moment to stop searching and just allowed yourself to be? What might you discover in the quiet stillness within? The answers you've been seeking might already be there, waiting patiently for you. Thank you for your presence and for welcoming this conversation. I love you and honor you so deeply in all that you are, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.